work that they do. So let's turn to our student speaker, Chad Littlefield. Chad is a senior in the College of Education and is completing a major in rehabilitation and human services and also psychology. He is passionate about people and how they connect, and these passions inspired him in 2010 to create a student organization at Penn State that is known as the Clown Nose Club. The Clown Nose Club is known for creatively utilizing symbols of joy, like a clown's nose, in order to gain rapport with people in the hope of generating positive interactions. The mission of the group is to challenge us all to take positive social risks. Chad also works as a discussion facilitator for the World in Conversation, and he conducts research with the Center for the Collegiate Mental Health. Chad plans to take his enthusiasm and expertise into a master's degree program at Penn State in instructional systems, and ultimately to create his own collaboration consulting business. So please join me in welcoming Chad to our podium.
I appreciate the welcome to the podium. Dean Monk, I can't be bound by the podium, so I'm going to be moving around. So, hi. Thank you guys for having me. I'm looking forward to speaking. So, just a heads up, a little warning. Some of my words might be a little bit passionate today. So, I want to actually do something a little weird, so bear with me. I want to actually, to focus that passion, I want to actually divide the room up into 3 sections. So we're going to label this hoop as my comfort zone, okay? So right now we're going to be in my comfort zone. So this is where I'm relaxed, this is where I'm hanging out, this is where I might be sitting on a couch watching TV, my heart rate's down, I'm feeling okay. Outside of my comfort zone, on this half of the podium, we're going to label my growth zone. So this is where I'm being stretched outside of my comfort zone, having conversations with people I've never met, formulating new thoughts that I haven't had. And a little bit further, beyond my growth zone, we're going to label this my panic zone over here. So remember, it's my panic zone. You guys can stay relaxed over here. But this is where I'm hyperventilating. This is where emotions are running high. This is where I'm not being productive. This is where I'm not formulating any good new thoughts. So that laid out comfort zone, growth zone, panic zone. We good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so now I want to actually rewind to the day before my freshman year at Penn State. I'm in an overstuffed minivan in the back with both my parents sitting in the front, legs squished, on an 8-hour haul from Boston, where I'm from, to State College, Penn State, where I want to be. And so notice I'm in my comfort zone right now, because for the past 3 months, I've been filled with nothing but zeal about coming to Penn State. I am pumped. When I found out that there were 40,000 plus students at this university, I told myself I knew that I was going to meet every single one of them. Sure, I haven't gotten there quite yet. But the point is, for 3 months straight, I was completely excited, not nervous at all. And one of my really good friends and mentors from high school, Eric Tyler, was telling me all along, Chad, I've mentored youth for 20 years. At some point, this is going to be overwhelming. At some point, you're going to get nervous. I know it's going to happen. And every single time he said, yeah, all right, whatever. Brushed him off. And that zeal continued right up until in 312 McKean Hall, where I lived freshman year. My parents waved goodbye. I gave them a hug. And the door of my dorm room closed. And it's like the second that door closed, I walked straight over here into panic zone, because I realized at that moment a very profound thing. I was leaving a place where I was surrounded by people that I loved, who loved me, that would do anything, drop anything on a dime to come help me, support me, talk to me. And I was now in a place where I had 0 meaningful relationships with anybody, and the thought of rebuilding that network was really overwhelming. And so beyond that, I came in as a die-hard pre-med major, and I'm speaking at a College of Education brunch. So as you can tell, something happened. So about 8 years ago, I saw the movie Patch Adams. How many of you guys have seen the movie Patch Adams? Okay, so for those of you who haven't, Patch Adams is a movie with stars Robin Williams, and he's becoming a doctor because he's really passionate about promoting the quality of life over the quantity of life in hospitals. And he uses humor to do so. He throws on a clown nose, he does goofy things, he makes connections with people that happen to be labeled patients in the moment that he's interacting with them. And so after I saw that movie 8 years ago, I knew, like, that was it. I'm gonna be Patch Adams. I've got it figured out. I'm gonna go to Penn State, I'm gonna do pre-med, I'm gonna go to medical school, and I'm gonna be a doctor, and I'm gonna be Patch Adams, and that's it. And then I had my first chemistry class, and I realized in that moment, I never want to be a doctor ever again. I need to bail out of pre-med right now. And so now at this point, I'm wading deeper into my panic zone because not only do I have 0 meaningful relationships, but I also have no idea what I want to do with the rest of my life. So now I'm really panicking, and so I somehow make it through that first Monday of class, through the biology, through the calculus, through the chemistry, back to 312 McKean Hall. And I come in and my roommate Ben is sitting there, and I just need space. I just need him to be gone right now. He leaves, but I'm just sitting there silently. He leaves about 2 minutes after I'm there, and the second he leaves, the door shuts, and I lose it. Tears start flowing. I am absolutely miserable, like on my bed, just crying. And so my genius self in that moment decides it'd be a really good idea to call Eric right now. So I call Eric and he picks up the phone and hears something what I imagine sounded like completely frantic. So he calms me down a little bit and he offers an observation, which was really profound to me, and a suggestion, which was also really profound to me. The observation was, Chad, you know you have a choice. You don't actually have, no one's making you take calculus, no one's making you take chemistry. And the suggestion was, go to Penn State's website, there's 160 majors, look down, circle the ones that stick out to you, circle the ones that are interesting. And so he's calming me down a little bit, so I'm slowly moving back over here into my growth zone. And as I'm scrolling down the alphabetical list, as I get to R, I'm getting very close to my comfort zone as I'm reading Rehabilitation and Human Services, my major now in the College of Education. And as I'm reading this, I am so far in my comfort zone, it's unbelievable, because in this moment, I am reading this and I'm thinking, whoever wrote this, like they knew me. They knew this is exactly what I wanted to do. My eyes are widening as I'm reading this. I'm absolutely excited. And so I'm back here. I went from way over there to over here. But it wasn't before long before the College of Education gently kicked me out of my comfort zone again. But this time, not so far into the panic zone, more into the growth zone, which is where I've stayed for a lot of years. And it kicked me right out of my growth zone with my first Rehabilitation Human Service class, RHS 497 with Dr. Gertner. It was titled Criminal Counseling and Rehabilitation. So I'm being stretched outside my comfort zone as I'm in a class, first semester freshman, with a handful of juniors, mostly seniors, and a bunch of master's students. And somehow I'm just there. And I'm being stretched as I'm touring Rockview State Prison and talking to inmates. And I'm being stretched as I'm touring an all-women's prison in Muncie, Pennsylvania. And I'm stepping outside here. And as I'm settling into my growth zone, I start to remember, oh yeah, I was kind of zealous about meeting 40,000 people, or I was passionate about the 40,000 students that were here. And so as that zeal started to resurface and as I started to get a little bit deeper into my RHS coursework, I realized I can actually still be Patch Adams. I just can't actually hold a scalpel, can't use a scalpel, which for me is probably a really good thing. But I can still connect people to other people. And so this was the spark that the College of Education, the structure of the program that I wound up in, started to give me, was this structure where I started to brew up the thoughts of the organization that Dean Monk mentioned, the Clown Nose Club, whose mission has nothing to do with clowns at all. It's a very Patch Adams-esque thing, but the mission is to step outside of your comfort zone into the growth zone to have a positive effect on other people through interacting with them authentically, through interacting with them creatively, through being out here. So to make this idea a little more concrete, I actually want to introduce Danielle Long over here. I'm not going in my panic zone, don't worry. Introduce Danielle Long, who's actually the current president of the Clown Nose Club. And so to make this a little more concrete, I want to describe a project that She's spearheading this semester, which we're calling Umbrella Taxi. The Umbrella Taxi. And the idea is that Clownos Club member will go into the hub where we have 40 bright yellow umbrellas with a Clownos Club logo on them. They'll grab 2 of them and they'll walk out on a rainy day outside the hub and wait for an umbrella-less student to walk out of the hub. And that person will offer an umbrella and a conversation while they walk to class. That's weird. That's really weird. That's not in here. No, strangers offering umbrellas to other strangers and walking. What is that? But it's in your growth zone and it's stretching you outside and you're learning because now you're meeting another person and you're gaining the experience and you're having new thoughts and you're learning how to interact with other people. And this is just one of the many sparks. So while the Clownos Club has shaped my experience at Penn State greatly, and the spark was given me by the College of Education, by the major that I found myself in, this was one of thousands of sparks. And another spark was through a mandatory class that I took titled Race and Ethnic Relations. And somehow I ended up, went on my way into a job as a discussion facilitator, like Dima mentioned, for a nonprofit on campus called The World in Conversation. And so through that process, I've been very much in my growth zone and sometimes a little bit bordering over here. Because through that process, I've had an opportunity to engage with, I calculated this the other day and my jaw dropped a little bit, but to engage in participating and facilitating over 14 days worth of conversation about stuff you're not supposed to talk about with Penn State students sitting in a circle. Stuff like race, stuff like gender, stuff like identity, culture, connecting people with other people. And through that, I've really unlearned who Chad is and rebuilt who Chad is. And it's been a very profound experience. So between Clownos Club and World in Conversation, yes, while those have shaped my experience here a lot, there's a long list. I could add to that list living on an Indian reservation, an Ojibwe Indian reservation in northern Minnesota for a month. I could add to that list doing research with the Center for Collegiate Mental Health and writing a thesis exploring the relationship between social anxiety and social support. I could also add to that list being paired with the best advisor on the planet, Brandon Hunt. And the point is, why I'm saying all of this to you guys is because as supporters of the College of Education, as supporters of Penn State, you have laid out an environment for me that has put me in a beautiful spot on the edge of thousands of positive social risks that I've been able to pick up and grab and explore. And so, I told you my words are going to be a little bit passionate tonight. Yeah. But I actually want to end with words that aren't my own, but are definitely my favorite words. And I feel like this quote actually exemplifies what you guys indirectly in the College of Education and Penn State has equipped me to do. And that is, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and do that because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad, for sharing your passion. I think we're all picked up in it, and I want to thank you, and thanks, Brandon, for helping to educate Chad and to bring him along.